there aren't any big words in here either. But there's dialogue. I believe in dialogue. So I want to thank you for coming on short notice. Thank everybody who made it possible. Margaret, of course, Micah, and anyone else. How many of you, by the way, have heard me speak at a university? Yeah. I often meet people who hear me speak at a university, and I said, "What do you remember?" And they say, "Oh, it was that stuff on hot dogs with all the fat that you had in a vial." So anyway, it's your turn now. It's like,
Mr. Nader,
yes, sir.
what would you say is the greatest accomplishment of your lifetime? Your personal accomplishment?
Well, I believe in saying to people my age, may the best of the future be the worst, may the best of the past be the worst of the future. So I can't give you a complete answer. But it's just to show people that they can change things. That they needn't just go through life feeling powerless, swallowing grievances. You've seen it all. Everybody has seen it. It's not a good way to live. People have an instinct for fairness and for justice. And the more concrete you get, the less ideological battles you engage in. Like, you got, let's say conservatives say they don't want federal government regulation. Liberals say it's necessary. So they fight at that level, right? Now let's take them down, let's say both of them own Toyotas. And they heard about sudden acceleration. And they were asked, do you think that the Department of Transportation investigate this and require recalls? You think the conservatives are going to say, no, not at all. There's a little cartoon I saw the other day. It's a guy standing in front of his house. It's on fire, and the firemen are coming in with the hoses. And he pushes it back saying, I don't believe in big government. So when you get very specific with people, food safety, things like that, you have a broader consensus. Throughout history, people have been controlled by abstract dogmas, whether they're secular or otherwise. And so the idea of just giving people a sense that you become more effective as a citizen if you learn the tools. If in school you learn civic skills, you learn how to use the Free Information Act, how to put together a coalition, how to disseminate a voting record. And the more skills you have, the more effective you are. The more effective you are, the more motivated you are to find other people like you, and so on and so forth. So that's sort of like the underlying theme. There are subjects like auto safety and others where we've had considerable success. The death toll is dramatically down per 100 million vehicle miles. It's now 1.5 deaths for every 100 million vehicle miles. You know, it was when unsafe speed came out, and the result was establishing the federal law on highway and auto safety. 5.6. It's nice to see something get better over the years. So, yes, there's it back. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what you described in the book, what you described in the book,
Yeah.
stayed together,
Yeah.
didn't that somewhat happen on the other side, like in the 60s, where the conservatives kind of got together? I'm referring to Powell's 8-page.
Yeah, the other side does it all the time. I mean, they're doing it now. All this money behind the Business Roundtable, the Mellon interests gave poured hundreds of millions of dollars into Heritage Foundation, and these other groups, not to mention candidates.
Their focus seems to be on the media, the think tanks, universities, and if you look at the conservative movement, they organize very well. I mean, if you look at the Tea Party, you see Saul Alinsky tactics.
Yeah. Well,
you don't see the left organizing at that local level. The backbone, the fire, the passion, is it still there? with the left, the progressives, whatever you want to call it?
Well, that's key, whether the passion is there. I just heard David Obey, chairman of the House Budget Committee, quit Wisconsin. Very good member of Congress. I don't know what's wrong. You know, Byron Dorgan, North Dakota, terrific senator, just retired. I think that's a reflection on their on Obama. I think they felt that if Obama became president, or the Democrat became president, and the Democrats took control of Congress, a lot of things have been backed up will get through. And after a year and a quarter, they decided it's not going to happen. And we don't have that kind of transforming leaders, we don't have that kind of fortitude, and they're leaving. You couldn't have a more powerful position in the House. And I think what happened with Opie is about 6 months ago, he submitted a bill which said we should pay for our wars now. I mean, that's what we used to do in the old days. We paid for our wars. We didn't say we're going to blow Iraq apart, we're going to blow Afghanistan apart, damage, killings, all sides, and so on, but our children and grandchildren are going to pay for it. And he was given the back of the hand by Pelosi and Obama. Oh, no, you can't do that. Don't you know there's an election coming up? That's not transforming leadership. I would like to go out to the American people and argue the point that if we're going to have wars, and that's another whole subject, these criminal wars of aggression and how they're boomeranging against us and developing more hatred, there's going to be more sabotage and so on. If we're going to have wars, we should have tax to pay for now, instead of just saying, wow, let the kids pay for it. Let their kids pay for it. You know, if the Democrats aren't willing to make that argument around the country, I don't care where they are. They can be the most conservative area in the country. That's a very powerful program. That's a very powerful argument. We paid for World War I, World War II, and so on. They had a surplus profits tax in World War II. Pay for the war, to help pay for the war. But you're right, the passion isn't there. Without fire in your belly, you can know a lot of things, but it doesn't happen.
If you want to see our national tour, it's onlythesuperrich.org. We're going all over the country. We're going to be in Olympia, Seattle, Portland on Friday, Saturday. And Ralph will sign books to those who missed out on the opportunity.
Thanks, man. I might say that, you know, George Soros is in this book. The guy doesn't know how to do anything other than make money. He's in the golden touch. He made $3.7 billion last year. He came from Hungary, so he endured fascism and communism as a young man. He was against the war in Iraq. And of course, Bush and Cheney moved into Iraq on a platform of widely acknowledged lies, deceptions. They cut off the inspectors. Anyway, that's hardly debatable anymore. But in the 6 months before the invasion, he wrote articles, he spoke up, and 300 ex-generals, admirals, leading national security people, and diplomats retired. 300 at least spoke out before the invasion. Said this is crazy, this is going to get us into deeper trouble. And people like Admiral Shanahan, former head of the Pacific Fleet, retired. General Zinni, Middle East specialist, retired. Bill Odom, who was head of the National Security Agency, and was a 4-star general. We've never had so many people, but they couldn't get on the media. So if George Soros had put in $150 million in 6 months to get these people on the media, to double, triple their number, who's going to be able to rebut them? 2 draft dodgers in the White House? These guys worked under Republican and Democrat. If they got them on the media, they got them on Capitol Hill, they created a whole infrastructure which would have put out hundreds of thousands of people in marches. There wouldn't have been a war. There wouldn't have been 1 million dead Iraqis and 4,400 dead U.S. soldiers and 100,000 injured and sick and traumatized and broken up families and trillions of dollars of money and more enemies than ever. There was no Al-Qaeda in Iraq. Saddam was mortal enemies. Now they say, oh, they're reducing Al-Qaeda in Iraq's victory. There never was any. So you see what money does, what money can do. And I would call him at the time. He wouldn't return my calls. I got him in this book, though. And the point with super rich people who are successful is they think they know it all. Because they knew how to beat the competition and make billions, they think they know how to make change in the political arena. And very few people know how to make change.